What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Wednesday, and my goodness, a loaded show once again. Austin Stanley, Jack Gentry here on this A to Z Sports Morning Show during the middle of NFL free agency week. It's been a doozy over the last couple of days since legal negotiating, legal tampering has all begun. But this afternoon is when things can actually become official. 3 p.m. Central Time is when all of the deals that have currently been reported can become official. So we're going to have a lot of things to discuss the rest of the week, but a lot of things to discuss today here on the show because Derrick Henry has officially moved to the dark side, and the Tennessee Titans are swinging big on defense in free agency with some stars visiting and also their interest in another star and their interest in making a potential trade that I don't necessarily know if people feel good about that, but we're going to have a great show, Jack, this morning. I'm sure people will get into their feels in the second half of the show, but then we'll make everybody feel better by playing our trivia game together. So Wednesday sports trivia to wrap up the show after we talk about Derrick Henry officially going to the Baltimore Ravens. So Jack, welcome in. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
Yeah, monster show lined up this morning. So I'm glad we've got big numbers already filing in here. And yeah, we're going to get a little happy. We're going to get a little sad. We're going to hit it all today, breaking it all down right here on A to Z Sports. But before we get into any of that, let's do our homework early. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a thumbs up, like the show. It helps us grow. It helps us reach new audiences. And that's the goal here. If you give us a thumbs up, it helps everybody out. So go ahead and like the show if you haven't already. I see 11 like numbers so far. Let's get that up to 100 today. We're shooting for 100 thumbs up today. So go ahead and like the show on the way in. If you're watching on Facebook, share the show as well. Share it to your Titans Facebook groups. Let's get everybody in here. Maybe some new audience members today can jump in on the chat. We're going to read as many comments as we can today because I know all of you guys have opinions about what's going on around this team as, you know, the first day of official free agency begins on this Wednesday. So share the show if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, tap that bell icon at the top of your screen and turn those notifications on. You're not going to want to miss a thing. We're breaking it all down on A to Z Sports throughout the week, throughout the month. There's constant movement. You want to stay informed on everything. And in order to do that, you have to turn your notifications on YouTube so you don't miss a beat. Finally, if you're watching on Twitch, let's text that Twitch link around to our Titans text groups, our friends, our family members who want to talk about Derrick Henry, who want to learn more about some of the free agents the Titans are targeting, which, by the way, like Austin said, are big-time swings. Let's bring them all in. Let's text that Twitch link around. And, Austin, after everyone does their homework, it's time to get the show on the road.
Yep, I just did my homework now, too, personally. So let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered, as always, by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up Podcast, and we are A to Z Sports, Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. That's at A to Z Sports. And also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is their website to find out how much they can save you on your new ride. Also, the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. The region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better on your health coverage with Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get a quote at fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the mid-state, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro, online at KrebsKubota.com. So getting some of the news out of the way. Obviously, everybody has seen at this point yesterday around lunchtime, Derrick Henry officially signing with the Baltimore Ravens in free agency. The news broke by Adam Schefter. Free agent Derrick Henry signing a 2-year, $16 million deal worth up to $20 million, including $9 million in fully guaranteed in the first year with the Baltimore Ravens, sources told ESPN. So the Titans signed Tony Pollard for 3 years, 24. Derrick goes for 2 years, 16 up to 20. We'll talk a lot about what that means and what that feels like for this fan base and our A to Z Sports Nashville audience later in the show. But the Titans did some work yesterday and last night. It was a quiet day on for the Titans after a busy day one where the Titans signed or agreed to terms with 4 players: Tony Pollard, Lloyd Cushenberry, Chidobe Awuzie, and also with Kenneth Murray Jr., the linebacker from the Chargers. That was all day one, but then no signings really until late in day 2 on Tuesday night. It came out the Titans are agreeing to a 1-year deal with Saahdiq Charles, who is a lineman coming from Washington, who actually, Jack, I'm fairly intrigued by. There's no high expectations on Saahdiq Charles, but Saahdiq Charles was a 4th-round pick to Washington in the 2020 draft out of LSU, the same draft class, the same offensive line as Lloyd Cushenberry out of LSU in that 3rd round of the 2020 draft. So the Titans now have 2 LSU offensive line teammates to help Brian Callahan reset this O-line. So we'll learn more about Saahdiq Charles and what that's going to be. It's a cheaper deal, a 1-year deal. He can play left guard or right guard, so maybe competing for a right guard spot with the Titans. But Travis May on A2ZSports.com wrote up something this morning about Saahdiq Charles and what he can bring. He's an athletic guy, but can he put it all together? This is the Bill Callahan offensive line coach at work. It's, can you take a Saahdiq Charles type player who's got skills and traits and help him put it all together, because he has had a very underwhelming first 4 years in the NFL as a 4th-round pick out of LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely something to work with there that I think Bill Callahan's excited to get his hands on. Big body, like you said, on that 2019 LSU championship team. And, he's a depth option. He's played a little tackle. He's played a little guard. So, and everyone freaking out that he's not, this Pro Bowl caliber guy. He was a 4th-round draft pick. The Titans signed to a 1-year deal for $2.5 million. What do you expect? I don't. It's not the home run the Titans have been trying to hit throughout the free agency period so far. But you're going to need depth guys at some point. And Xavier Newman-Johnson and some of those guys last year weren't cutting it. So it's nice to see them going out and filling, what is a need, not one of the more pressing needs, but still a need. And, a lot of people yesterday, by the way, let me get this off my chest. A lot of people yesterday were all over Rand Carthon for not making a move. But he didn't. It's not like he took the day off, people. I understand, you want to sign free agents early because that pool starts to dry out. But just because he didn't sign any big names yesterday doesn't mean he's not doing work. He took the day off. He's got a meeting scheduled with Chase Young. He's got a meeting scheduled with Jerome Baker. There's interest with Justin Simmons, according to Diana Rossini. The L'Jarius Sneed trade talks, according to our own Buck Rising, have picked up a little bit. And hey, A to Z Sports also connected the Titans to Joe Flacco. So the dude did not take the day off just because he didn't ink anybody yesterday that of note of notable guys doesn't mean he was sitting on his hands all day. The guy was busy getting it done, and perhaps yesterday's work will lead to big time moves today as the Titans move closer to rounding out some of their some of this first wave of free agents that they're going to be bringing in for the 2024 season.
I think it's a very fair comment, Jack. I've kind of put it like the Titans agreed to terms with 4 players on day one. That's like if, let's see, what sport should I take? I'll take football. That's like if the Titans score 2 touchdowns on the opening 5 minutes of the game. It's like they get an offensive drive, big play touchdown, and then a pick 6. And I was like, oh, the Titans are on pace to score 72 points today. That's not going to happen. The Titans were not going to be on pace to sign 20 free agents this week by keeping the 4 per day. That's not how that was going to work. And so you sign 4 on Monday, then you work on some other detailed deals on Tuesday. And look, I had tweets of, I tweeted about the Texans doing a good job of building around a rookie quarterback contract. They got one guy that responded to me, was like, I'm done with Rand. It's like, oh my God, you guys, some of you guys, not all of you guys, some of you guys can be as dramatic as you possibly want. So 4 players on Monday, none on Tuesday, outside of Saahdiq Charles late, which was at 9:00 at night Tuesday evening. But we just got more updates. I see Jared says the Zone just reported Jerome Baker's visiting Nashville. That's already been out there. It came from I can't remember who it was, but somebody else did report that Jerome Baker is on his way to visit Nashville, the inside linebacker, because the Titans feel to be swinging big on the defensive side of football with their targets now, because you signed Chidobe Awuzie and Kenneth Murray Jr. on Monday. And these four names, these are four fairly big names, are being linked to the Titans in free agency or via trade. From left to right, safety Justin Simmons, Adam Kaplan, and others. Diana Rossini, I believe, reported the Titans were trying to get C.J. Gardner-Johnson to come join Denard Wilson in the Titans secondary, but he goes back to Philadelphia. And Kaplan and Rossini said the Titans are turning their attention to Justin Simmons, the all-pro from Denver, who got released from a salary cap situation earlier this offseason. Then Buck Rising reporting, and we'll get to this more, the Titans are still interested in trading for L'Jarius Sneed, the franchise tag cornerback in Kansas City. Chase Young is on his way for a visit to the Tennessee Titans, who is the ultimately talented pass rusher, a previous top draft pick that was traded midseason from Washington to San Francisco before hitting free agency. And then the most recent reporting this morning is Dolphins inside linebacker Jerome Baker is set to visit the Tennessee Titans later this week too. So you get into this point to where the big names, the early things happen in the legal negotiating, legal tampering, whichever phrase you want to pick, in the first 48 hours, right? Now you have players that start to take visits because you have medicals you want to check out. Players want to be picky and choosy with situations they go to. And so now you start to get into the visit period of free agency. But I mean, these are four big time names on defense, all at positions of need that the Titans are linked to. And so, Jack, let's go ahead and get the audience back involved again this morning and simply ask everybody which Titans defensive target is the top priority for of these four. Which Titans defensive target is your top priority? Justin Simmons, L'Jarius Sneed, Chase Young, or Jerome Baker? Sneed would come via trade. I'll play the clip from Buck Rising yesterday about the reporting that he is doing. But which of these four is the biggest priority for the Tennessee Titans to add on defense in this point of free agency? But first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn for all of your injury needs. boneandjointtn.org. They are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever an injury occurs in life, you have to know where you can go, who you can turn to, and who has the best resources and the best technology in the area for you to benefit you. And that is the folks at the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin, Tennessee, just off I-65 and Murfreesboro Pike. They do a fantastic job. They've got imaging, they've got testing, they've got surgery centers, they have the rehab facility that is state-of-the-art, all right there in their Franklin location. It's down there in the bottom of your screen on our graphic here. boneandjointtn.org is where to book an appointment.
BetMGM.com is the place to go if you're looking to get some skin in the game. Look, March Madness is about to be here. We've got all kinds of stuff to bet on. You can bet on NFL draft props. There's so many different options to bet on and win on BetMGM. So new users, you can sign up with our bonus code A to Z Sports, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. You don't have to worry about chasing. You don't have to worry about digging yourself out of a hole. Sign up with BetMGM and use our bonus code that you see on the screen right now, A to Z Sports. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification. Eligible requirements. First online room money wager only. Rewards issued to knowledgeable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem, give a sport call Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. So, Jack, we're going to get to the chat here in a second. We asked which of these four defensive targets the Titans are linked to is your priority. Is it former Denver safety Justin Simmons, current franchise tag corner in Kansas City L'Jarius Sneed via trade, Chase Young, who has bounced around Washington and the Niners, or Dolphins inside linebacker Jerome Baker? But Jack, I'm going to go ahead and play Buck Rising yesterday on his updated reporting on the Titans and L'Jarius Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed is still something that they're actively trying, they being the Titans, are still actively exploring a week later. We know that they signed Chidobe Awuzie yesterday, was talking to some people this morning about this, and the buzz around Sneed and the Titans has never been louder. My understanding is, of course, that the compensation is something that they're trying to work through. That's not something that you needed sources on. It is an obvious part, but just for reference, that compensation is still something that they're trying to work through. And also, financially, they would have to give him a contract once they acquired him because that is the thing he seeks.
So there's Buck reporting on the Zone yesterday. He also talked a lot about that on A to Z Sports Primetime last night. Adam Kaplan also discussing the quote tweeting Buck's Primetime show and discussing the Titans in on Justin Simmons after missing out on CJ Gardner-Johnson. So, Jack, I will send you to the chat now. Which of those 4 defensive players is the main priority? In other words, if you can only have one of these 4 guys, which of these one is it? So I'll send you to the chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. What are the people saying this morning?
Amar is kicking it off on YouTube. He wants all of them. Bork wants everybody but Sneed. Derek wants Sneed. Clayton Smith wants to prioritize Justin Simmons. Jerome Baker from Eric Castillo. Justin Simmons from IR Hoshi. All of them from Amar. Okay, we have Amar's back again. Chase Young from Mali. Sneed from Jason. Baker from David Brown. Demario Patterson says he wants Chase Young the most. So we've got a Sneed answer. Simmons, and it's not even close, says Tank Sinatra. Zach Lawrence wants all of them. Justin Simmons from Stephen King. Justin Simmons from Lucas Burke. We've got a Chase Young comment from Curtis C. Justin Simmons. Jerome Baker. We've got Sneed, then Chase Young from Jason Martinez. Justin Simmons is Brennan's favorite. Team leader wants Jerome Baker. So does Brandon. T. Shannon believes Sneed's the guy, and it's not even close. Chef Ran agrees that Sneed makes his defense elite. Jerome Baker from Jared Gibson, as the Titans still need to fill out that other linebacker spot. Titans Kyle wants Justin Simmons. Jerome Baker from Sports Fan doesn't want to give up assets for Sneed. Terrence wants all 4 of them. Corey says it's Justin Simmons. Chris says it's Chase Young, no-brainer. We've had multiple no-brainer answers with different guys. We've got Baker, Simmons, Young and Sneed, Chase Young, God please, Justin Simmons, Chase Young. Out on Sneed, says Scott Weaver. He costs way too much. Dylan White's in on Baker. Jared is on Sneed. We've got Chase Young from Jeff Rubel. No surprise there, the Ohio State connection.
Right.
Ron says it's Simmons. They need a good leader on defense. And I think Awuzie was a great start to kind of building the culture on the back end there. Simmons, 4-time All-Pro, helps you there as well, even though he's over that 30 hump. Let's see. We got Simmons, Baker, Simmons. Billy Jones says Simmons. Josh Hint says Simmons and Young. Big Jeff needs some help. I imagine that's a Chase Young answer from Eddie. I would take Simmons out of these guys. Simmons, Baker, Young and Baker, Simmons. So I think Simmons is, the leader in the clubhouse from the chat, which, by the way, has been on fire today. Austin, I tend to agree with the chat. I think Justin Simmons should be the Titans' top priority, and here's why. The Tennessee Titans ranked last in the NFL last season. As a team, they only recorded 6 interceptions. Well, how do you fix that? Denard Wilson prioritized taking the football away in Baltimore last year. He led the NFL in takeaways with 31 and finished second in the league as the Ravens had 18 interceptions on the season in 2023. Well, who's one of the best interception guys in the NFL? It's Justin Simmons. In fact, he's tied for first in interceptions with 23 since 2019. Okay, 23 picks since 2019. That's tied with J.C. Jackson for the lead in the NFL. And, he had 3 interceptions last year. Austin, he had 6 by himself in 12 games in 2022. He had 6. The Titans had 6 last year. He had 6 in 12 games 2 seasons ago. Justin Simmons is a guy who can erase mistakes on the back end, can take the football away and give the Titans offense a short field to work with. And really, when you look at the Titans' approach here and some of these guys they're interested in, I think that, we talk about how the NFL is a copycat league all the time. I think the Titans are trying to copy the Legion of Boom approach. You remember when Russell Wilson was on a rookie deal in Seattle, and they took advantage by signing a great secondary, paying those dudes a lot of money to go out and take the football away. That's what I think the Titans are trying to do when they're, by being connected to some of these guys like Sneed, Simmons, and they already have Awuzie under their belt. But at the end of the day, Sean Murphy Bunting last year was the only Tennessee Titan to record multiple interceptions in the season, and he had 2. Okay, everybody else that had one, and only 4 other players had an interception. Justin Simmons is a takeaway machine. You go out, you get him. He's not only a 4-time All-Pro, but like the chat said, he's a leader on defense who can help establish the culture that Denard Wilson and Brian Callahan are trying to set on that side of the football. If you want to win in this league, you've got to be able to take care of the ball on offense and take the ball away on defense. Denard Wilson's approach worked last year, and he's going out and looking for guys, and Rand Carthon's helping him here, going out and finding these dudes who are capable of taking the football away. Justin Simmons had 3 last year. Sneed had 2 last year. Baker had 2 last year. Murray had 1. If you end up getting all 4 of those, dude, that's 8 interceptions. So 4 guys right there, these 4 possible new additions would have had more interceptions last season than the Tennessee Titans' entire team. This is the right formula for success. Justin Simmons is number 1 on my list.
All right. So Jack very emphatically with Justin Simmons. So we will go through all of these. And by the way, Ryan, I will get to your super chats when we talk about Derrick Henry, because you commented a super chat about Derrick Henry. And so when we have the Derrick Henry conversation, your super chat will be read. So when asking the question, which of these is your priority, Chase Young or any edge rusher was not on my radar for a Titans big spin in free agency. But as you continue to look at the rest of the division and you see obviously what CJ Stroud is in Houston, Trevor Lawrence has the ability to win the division after a rocky year this past season. Then Anthony Richardson's a mobile quarterback who can burn you with his legs. So you have to be able to get after the passer there. I just don't think Chase Young is the guy to invest in, because as Big Ten Jeff is backing his Ohio State guy by saying he was disruptive in the Super Bowl. Sure, but you also saw reps in the Super Bowl where Chase Young basically gave up and quit in pursuit and did not have that extra gear, did not have that extra motivation drive him to strain through to make a play in the Super Bowl or in the NFC Championship game against the Lions. If I don't see somebody going all the F out and straining through anything in the Super Bowl, then I'm not going to give any type of big money contract towards that person. Like Cam Newton lost a lot of people when he watched that football spin around on the turf in the Super Bowl after he fumbled it. And so I don't buy Chase Young. Like, you got to show me more. You have to show me the extra effort that you are straining through everything you've got in the damn Super Bowl. So, and I think this is interesting. Trey just said San Francisco not showing interest after giving up a 3rd round draft pick for him in the middle of the season is a great point. But the Niners were going for it. They gave him a 3rd round pick for Chase Young for a chance to bring him back, have the first opportunity to negotiate, and they didn't do that. That's a sign for me. So I'm not sold on Chase Young. The guy's a freak talent, but he hasn't been able to put it together. 16.5 sacks through his 4 years. I know he had an ACL that he missed a lot of time with, but he had 7.5 combined sacks last year, 5 with Washington and 2.5 with San Fran. I'm just not in on Chase Young. So that brings, do you agree?
Yeah, and you know what? I think the Titans shouldn't be looking. I imagine Chase Young's looking for a 1-year prove-it deal to go ahead and get his value back up and sign that next big contract after this season. I don't think the Titans should be in the business of handing out prove-it deals this offseason. Get dudes who are going to stick around for 3 years and start building for the future. Like, you want to be able to put yourself in a position to succeed in 2025 and 2026. Chase Young's not going to help you get there, and it's really not, that reliable of a bridge. People fall in love with his ceiling. I fall in love with consistency, and we haven't seen that out of Chase Young yet.
So I have to agree with you. I think the answer here is Justin Simmons. I think Justin Simmons is still a very good player. Yes, he's 30 years old. You just traded away Kevin Byard last year, who was 30 years old. And signing Justin Simmons is clearly not what the Titans' initial plan was at safety, because CJ Gardner-Johnson is who the Titans are linked to on Monday, and it didn't happen. He goes back to the Eagles after leaving Philadelphia to go to Detroit for a year. I think that's where I say Justin Simmons out of these four is the favorite. I honestly think it's between Justin Simmons or Jerome Baker, because I feel like the drop-off after Simmons and Baker in free agency at safety and at inside linebacker is pretty significant. And so if you can get one of those two guys, you feel really good. And the Titans got Kenneth Murray Jr. at inside linebacker. They need somebody else to be I don't think Kenneth Murray is your number one inside linebacker right now. I think he's a really good starter on with a duo. But I think I go with Justin Simmons. Jack, you mentioned 3 interceptions last year, 6 interceptions the year before in 2022, only playing 12 games. He came back, played 15 games after missing time with some injuries the year before. How about this? Justin Simmons is the only player in the NFL who has at least 2 interceptions in every season since entering the league. And that goes for Justin Simmons, that goes back to 2016. He was in the same Kevin Byard draft. So that's 8 consecutive seasons with at least 2 interceptions in a year for Justin Simmons. And 2 might not sound like a lot. Well, he had 2 as a rookie and he had 2 his second year. After that, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 3. And look, the Broncos were not exactly competitive the last couple of years. And the fact that Justin Simmons was playing really damn good football when the Broncos were not very competitive and relying on that defense, Curtis says, is Justin Simmons better than Byard? I think I would take Kevin Byard from 2016 through 2019 over Justin Simmons. I think 2020 is when it starts to get pretty even. But I think Justin Simmons has been a better player the last 2 years than what
Definitely.
Kevin Byard has been the last 2 years. Kevin Byard came out of the gates on absolute fire and deserved to be the highest paid safety at the time of his extension. But I think Justin Simmons is right now a better player than KB. And I have an affinity for KB. I like KB a lot. But I think Justin Simmons would be a great hire or a great signing for the Titans to pair with Amani Hooker in the back end. I wanted Geno Stone, but he goes to the Bengals. And so you'd have to go older at safety. And I think Justin Simmons is the guy.
I totally agree about your comments on the safety and linebacker position, because that well's drying up, right? If you miss out on both of these guys, there is a steep drop off between the next group. Like Tyrell Dodson's, a fun story because he's from Franklin and everything. And he's a great guy in pass coverage, but if you can land Jerome Baker and Justin Simmons, you are doing your defensive coordinator a great service. So Rand Carthon and Denard Wilson, it's very clear that they're working together. I think Brian Callahan, a lot of people are probably like, well, Brian, we had an offensive head coach. Why aren't we making more moves on offense? I think that Brian Callahan's going to have a big time input on the draft. And you know what? Maybe he makes a splash in free agency here at wide receiver. Although, that well's also drying up as we're hearing Calvin Ridley is getting closer to a deal. The T. Higgins situation's interesting. The problem with me, and I totally agree on Chase Young, by the way, the L'Jarius Sneed conversation, because a lot of people were interested in L'Jarius Sneed. I think that's a little trickier because, these other 3 guys we're talking about, you don't have to give up a draft pick to go get. So that's why I'm prioritizing Simmons over Sneed. But I think, if you can land both of them, and I know Titans fans want to hold on to those draft picks.
Yeah,
because,
we'll get to that. We'll get to the conversation about the draft picks here in a second. But I think something that I see in the chat is EA says that's always the mystery. The Titans never spend money. And I don't understand how that can be a comment from somebody, considering the Titans allocated a total of 100. Listen to this. EA, on Monday, the Titans allocated a total of $128 million in contracts to 4 players.
Big time money.
EA says the Titans never spend money. Yet, the Titans gave Lloyd Cushenberry the most guaranteed money for an NFL center in league history on Monday. The Titans have also made Taylor Lewan the highest paid left tackle in the NFL in history, made Kevin Byard the highest paid safety in history, gave Derrick Henry $50 million, gave Ryan Tannehill dump trucks of cash in order to trade for Julio Jones, and made him have the highest cap hit in all of last year in football. And they've where is the Titan? They gave Jeffrey Simmons $96 million or whatever it was last offseason. So the theory that the Titans never spend money is so dumb, and something that we have to discuss every year. They botched the A.J. Brown situation. Don't get me wrong. They botched that. But that's the only time the Titans haven't spent money in the last decade.
Yeah, I think that there's a caveat here. Like, the Titans don't spend big money on the sexy positions, but they're spending a lot of money. Like Kenneth Murray, $9 million AAV. You've got Cushenberry, 12.5 AAV. Awuzie is getting around the same, at cornerback, but they're not offensive. They're not wide receivers, and guys that can, change the game on offense. So it's looked at a little bit differently. They're spending big money. They're just not doing it at wide receiver, which is, I think or left tackle, which is where Titans fans, I believe, would want to spend money. But, if they don't believe that there's a guy in this class that could help them out substantially, then they'll go ahead and wait for the draft and find a guy that's a little cheaper over there. So just because they're not spending money at the sexy positions doesn't mean they're not willing to spend big money, period.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about the Houston stuff tomorrow, because Houston's going out there and spending money. Apparently some people are not understanding why Houston's spending money like they are, and the Titans are not spending like Houston. It all centers around CJ Stroud was one of the best quarterbacks in football last year as a rookie, and they are a year ahead of the Tennessee Titans. So that's the thing. And it's not that they're not spending money. The Titans are spending a lot of money. They have plenty of money to still spend. I saw somebody ask, I believe it was David Dandy asked how much money the Titans have left to spend. We don't know yet, because we don't know what the year one cap hits on these 5. They made 5 deals. The total $130 million on 5 deals, but we don't know what the average is or what this first year salary cap is to know how much they have left. But I'm guessing they probably have around $55 million left once you remove the rookie draft pick pool from the equation. They have plenty of money to spend. Mm-hmm. It's just they're trying to find out how to spend it sustainably.
And one more comment on the Texans thing. I think that the Texans are kind of setting the pace. And, when you're training for a marathon, you usually get a couple of guys who can, come out there and push you and make you, go a little faster and get to that PR. Well, maybe in this situation, the Texans are that guy, right? They're going out and they're spending big money on defense, and the Titans are saying, you know what? We got to keep up with the Joneses. We got to keep up with the Texans down there. In order to do that, we have to also spend a lot of money on the defensive side of the football. So maybe the Texans are kind of the pace car for the Titans. And just because the Texans have spent more money at this point doesn't mean the Titans won't end up being the bigger spenders this offseason. So again, we're only 2 days into this thing. You got to have a little patience, and some of these things take time. And, we're getting into the visit periods where, the first day it was, boom, contract. Now it's, okay, these guys want to check out their options. They're going to fly to Detroit. They're going to fly to Houston. They're going to fly here. They're going to fly there. And then they're going to come visit the Titans. So it's going to take a little bit longer now that we're here. But I don't think Titans fans should be discouraged that the Titans' big spending, has reached, its peak. I still think there's more to come.
All right. And then Anthony says, Jack, nobody wants to be the one trying to keep pace with a division rival. Terrible comparison. No, that's the reality, guys.
You have to keep pace.
That's the reality. Like, live in reality. Like, Jack is correct. Live in reality. Good Lord. Man, sometimes things frustrate me more than they should. But
there's always one horse that's out in front of the other. You got to catch. Yes. You got to do your best to stay even with that guy. And the Texans right now are going to be the hands down division favorites entering next season. So you got to do your best to keep up with them. And they, like you said, they're a year ahead. They've got a known commodity in CJ Stroud, whereas the Titans at quarterback have a guy with still a few question marks. Like, he showed some things last year, but the difference between Stroud and Levis is still pretty substantial at this point. So you got to keep that in mind as well. So don't get frustrated that the Texans are a little further than you right now. This thing would take a couple of years, but the Titans are making significant strides to close that gap.
Look, Xavier says trying to keep pace, doing a crap job at it. Look, they just started. Like, they just started this. They started it 2 days ago. Like,
Signed
come
4
on.
starters. The Titans have
Yeah,
signed
they
4
signed
starters.
the best center on the market, where your center last year was such a vulnerable part of the team. Aaron Brewer was a damn liability. So what do? You go get the third best center in the sport at pass protecting to take over for the 32nd best center at pass protecting. It's not that hard. So, all right. Yeah, I agree with Corey. Titans fans have zero patience. Zero
You know
patience.
what? Rand Carthon went out and had such a big first day that the Titans expect every day after that to match that first day. It's impossible. He set an impossible pace to keep up with.
Yes, it's like if Philip Forsberg scores 3 goals in a first period. He's on pace for 9 goals today. He's not going to do that. Like, it's not ridiculous. That's not get your heads out of the clouds and live in reality. All right.
And don't you want them to do due diligence on these free agents? Like, you got to kind of take some time to learn about these guys, and visiting with them helps. So it's not all going to happen so fast, but they're still doing their due diligence. They're still bringing these guys in. Give it time. Rand Carthon is setting the table. We're all going to eat. The Titans are going to eat. Rand's going to cook. Right now, it's table setting time.
Yeah, I'm with. Hey, guys, just so you know, Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan are at Georgia's Pro Day today. That is something we've got. Kelsey Kramer from A to Z Sports is at the Georgia Pro Day, and so is Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan. So both the head coach and GM at the Georgia Football Pro Day today. That's a good thing. Jerome Baker, Chase Young, they're visiting tomorrow when Rand and Callahan are back from Georgia Pro Day. So, okay. Let's continue with this trade discussion because we haven't really talked about it yet. Neither of us picked L'Jarius Sneed. Let's get deeper into the L'Jarius Sneed trade discussion here about what Buck Rising was reporting. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn, and all Tennesseans should turn to get better with your health coverage. Again, get better with your health coverage. Many of you probably don't think about your health coverage on a day-to-day basis. I know I do because I talk about Farm Bureau Health Plans 5 days a week because they do a phenomenal job and have been for over 75 years serving Tennesseans to help Tennesseans get the right and the best, strongest coverage for whatever your situation may be. Farm Bureau Health Plans gives back to the community and invests in the community, which is the entire state, whether it's sports leagues for youth sporting events, or just whatever it might be. Farm Bureau Health Plans is right on the corner to help you get a better health coverage for your life, save money, and get better coverage. Both things can happen. Zach Bingham did it. You can too. And get a quote today at fbhp.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM.com, it's the king of sports books for a reason. If you don't have a sports book and you want to get some skin in the game, or you want to change it up, you don't like the current sports book you're on, you want to switch up your luck, download BetMGM. New users, download the app, plug in this bonus code A to Z Sports, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. They're setting you up for success. Don't worry about losing that first one and chasing from there. Download BetMGM, use our bonus code A to Z Sports, and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right, so let's hear from Buck Rising again, who was discussing the latest around the Titans and L'Jarius Sneed, the tagged corner for the
L'Jarius
Chiefs.
Sneed is still something that they're actively trying, they being the Titans, are still actively exploring a week later. We know that they signed Chidobe Awuzie yesterday. Was talking to some people this morning about this, and the buzz around Sneed and the Titans has never been louder. My understanding is, of course, that the compensation is something that they're trying to work through. That's not something that you needed sources on. It is an obvious part, but just for reference, that compensation is still something that they're trying to work through. And also, financially, they would have to give him a contract once they acquired him because that is the thing he seeks.
All right, so there's Buck yesterday on the Zone actively exploring a trade with L'Jarius Sneed, and then the buzz around the Titans and Sneed has never been stronger. There's a lot of layers that go into this. Jack, I'll just start this off. I think the Titans trading for L'Jarius Sneed would be absolutely a dumb thing to do. L'Jarius Sneed is a really good cornerback. He's one of the best man cover corners in the NFL. But the price is too high, and there is some injury risk that's going to go along with it. Sam and I have been on this show, and you and others have talked about the potential knee issue that L'Jarius Sneed has long term. And if L'Jarius Sneed has a knee issue that didn't allow him to practice for the high majority of all last season, even though he only missed one game, which was week 18, when the Chiefs were locked into the 3rd seed in the AFC playoffs, and that game did not matter, that L'Jarius Sneed didn't practice much and had knee swelling issues. This is coming from Charles Goldman, who covers the Chiefs for A to Z Sports, that L'Jarius Sneed has long-term knee issues. And if you have to sign L'Jarius Sneed to a large contract, probably over $70 million in total, and trade up some type of draft pick on day 2, that's just not smart. Like, and what do you, when you hear Bucks say actively exploring a trade for L'Jarius Sneed, that they're working through what the compensation would be, what do you think about, Jack?
I'm with you. Like, if you're not going to go out and make a big splash at left tackle and wide receiver, and you give your second round pick and a high second round pick at that at 38 up, then how are you going to address one of those? Like, one of those issues is still going to be lingering heading into this season, when those two things are at the top of our priority list. I don't want the Titans to change the priority list. Like, if you bump up L'Jarius Sneed, like, not only are you going to have to give up a pick for him, but you're probably going to have to pay him somewhere in the range of $20 million per year. And that's a heavy chunk for a guy, like you said, who's got some injury questions. He missed a lot of practice time last year. I understand, a massive cornerback on 2 Super Bowl runs. He's going to have some value no matter what there. And he had a career year last year with 14 passes defended. So he's a good player, and obviously he'd be an upgrade to the Titans secondary. But if you go out and get a guy like Justin Simmons, you have Imani Hooker, you've got Roger McCreary, and you've got Chidobe Awuzie, isn't it a little bit overkill to go out and then throw $20 million in a draft pick to go get L'Jarius Sneed? In my opinion, it is. Like, there's still some major issues the Titans have to iron out on the offensive side of the football, and you need money to fix those problems. Like, you got to spend money to make money in this league. But I just think when you're already so heavily invested on defense, and more importantly in the secondary, going out and signing L'Jarius Sneed is a little overkill to me. So I'm in on the player. I like L'Jarius Sneed. I think that he would be a great addition to whichever team he goes to. And, MB had a comment that said, the Chiefs don't want to bring him back. What does that say about him? The Chiefs handed out 2 Supermax deals to Patrick Mahomes and most recently Chris Jones. So they can't afford him at his price tag. I like L'Jarius Sneed, but the price is too high for me, Austin. I'm out.
Yeah, the price is way too high. The rent is too damn high, right? That was a time. But so somebody's saying, who else would you go get? Both you and I have been on Kendall Fuller. Like, go sign Kendall Fuller for cheaper than what L'Jarius Sneed's going to be, and he's a free agent. You don't have to give up a draft pick. Like, the Tennessee
Titans, more
Titans,
of a sure thing as well.
Yeah, and well, I don't know. L'Jarius Sneed is a better player than Kendall Fuller. There is no doubt.
But the knee,
yes, is a long-term fear. He was able to play through it and play well through it last year. It's not necessarily a 2024 concern, because now he's got all offseason to make sure the knee gets better. But it's more of if you're going to give the guy a bunch of guaranteed money that he's going to get in a contract extension, what's L'Jarius Sneed's knee going to be in 2025, 2026, when you still need him to be playing good football, because now you're competing for something?
And
you need the draft. You need the draft picks. You have to have the draft picks.
Exactly. If you want to give him a third next year, the Chiefs will even do that. Then maybe that changes it a little bit for me. But Kendall Fuller, like, if you're gonna go out and spend money on cornerback, don't give the entire bag away to L'Jarius Sneed. Kendall Fuller, Spotrac predicts his market value to land somewhere around $13.6 million per year. That's much more in the budget here for the Titans, while also being a substantial upgrade over whatever the Titans threw out there last year, whether it was Fulton, Avery, Bunting, whoever it was. So Kendall Fuller makes way more sense. Not only could you bring him in, but you could use that extra $7-8 million that you'd have to pay Sneed and go out and find an offensive line solution on the right tackle side, or find another depth guy, or bring in a wide receiver. There's so many more things you could do with that extra $7-8-9 million that the Titans would save by bringing in Fuller instead of Sneed. So you can get two players instead of just bringing in L'Jarius Sneed. Kill two birds with one stone instead of going out and adding another corner to what is already shaping up to be a vastly improved secondary.
Yeah. So again, I like L'Jarius Sneed a lot. I just think the price is too high and the knee injury concerns are too much for that too. So now let's turn the page and get to the Derrick Henry news that was official yesterday, that Derrick Henry going to the dark side and signing with the Baltimore Ravens for a 2-year deal, $16 million, worth up to $20 million, including $9 million in the first year, fully guaranteed with the Ravens, from ESPN and Adam Schefter. So, Jack, our question now is, what's one word to describe Derrick Henry signing with the Baltimore Ravens? What is one word to describe Derrick Henry signing with the Baltimore Ravens? We'll get to all of your comments here shortly, but Krebs Kubota, one word about Krebs Kubota: great. And here's another word: consistent. The best, elite, an elite Kubota dealer is Krebs Kubota. They have the best equipment and the best warranties in the industry to go along with the best customer service across Middle Tennessee. So any equipment that you need, man, spring is officially here, and it feels amazing to have the sunshine and those later evenings after the weekend too. And let Krebs Kubota help you accomplish and achieve all of those outdoor goals for your projects this spring by going to see them at any one of their 3 locations, Columbia, Franklin, or Murfreesboro, to find the right piece of equipment for you: a new mower, a new trimmer, something small, something ordinary, or maybe you've got some other projects on your mind and on the schedule. You can go rent something for the weekend, get it done, take it back to Krebs Kubota, no problem right there. So check them out online at KrebsKubota.com, or step into one of their 3 locations and tell Matt and Jamie that we said, hey, at Franklin, Columbia, or Murfreesboro, online, KrebsKubota.com.
BetMGM Online, it's the place to get some skin in the game. BetMGM.com. We've got a great promotion going on right now. If you plug in our bonus code that you see on the screen, A to Z Sports, you'll get up to $1,500 back if you missed your first bet. The SEC tournament gets kicked off today. I'm going to be at Bridgestone later on. I'm going to be there for the next 2 days. So if you're down there and you see me, say what's up. We'll grab a drink. But BetMGM.com, bonus code A to Z Sports gets you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Take advantage of it. This is the time to get some skin in the game. It's a great month to be doing it. BetMGM.com, code A to Z Sports.
All right, Jack, I'll send you the chat. One word to describe Derrick Henry signing with the Baltimore Ravens. If you see any profanity, I would suggest just skipping right by those. But one word to describe Derrick Henry signing with the Baltimore Ravens. There's a lot of comments. So, Jack, off you go.
Yes, I think I've finally gotten to the top. We've got wow, profanity right off the bat. You're exactly right. Okay. Andre on YouTube says puke. Steven says pain. Scott says boo. Darren Lee feels happy for him. He's saying congratulations. Heartbreaking from Jared. Nick says F him. Puke from Top Tier. We've got pain from Eric Castillo. Jojo says traitor, even though he misspelled it. Awful from Willie. Traitor again misspelled.
Guys, come on, guys. English. Do you speak it?
Disgust from So Crispy. Expected. Business. Over. Closure. Expected. Heartache. Ew. Mistake. Bittersweet. Ran. Expected. Abomination. Expected again. That's probably the most common word in the chat right now. Mixed from Bork. Deja vu from Jonathan. Ring from Antonio. Painful from Greatness. Sickening. Fran. I guess F-Ran. I don't know. Super Bowl. Fans crying. Support. Adios. Flabbergasted. Understandable. Pain. Expected. Era ending. Typical. Congratulations. Deja vu. Finally. Now let's move on, says David Brown. Congrats from Devin Mills. Super Bowl. Nuts. Expected. Happy. Expected salute. So expected is the clear front runner here, but there's some mixed emotions in the chat. There are people that are cussing him, and there are people that are saying, you know what, they're happy for him. He gets to go to a contender and compete for a Super Bowl, which is what Derrick Henry wanted at the end of the day. Austin, what's your word? Why don't you lead us off?
I want you to go first because you were the more emotional one. And the Tighten Up podcast is coming out today or tonight, right? Midnight tonight. You guys had to push it back a day because Austin Huff's internet was a joke or something like that. But look, you allowed. That's a good thing because now you get to react to Derrick Henry. And I know Austin Huff's going to have some type of eulogy prepared for himself. But what is your one word?
Yeah, we didn't get news dumped, so that's a good thing to push it back for, with all this news kind of coming last night and today. My word's pain. It's painful. Even though we knew that the Titans were going to move on from Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry, well, more importantly, Derrick Henry was going to move on from the Titans because they just didn't fit, the end of his career goals. It still hurts. Austin and I have talked about it. Austin Huff, that is. And we've kind of compared it to knowing that your dog's going to die, but
no, don't even go there. You can just don't even go there. You can skip over that comparison and just continue with act like you've already said this and then just keep on talking.
Okay, that's fine. Anyways, so it's painful for me. Seeing Derrick Henry in the Ravens gear is going to suck. There's people that are pulling for him to win a Super Bowl. They're still the Baltimore Ravens to me. So I'm not going to be doing any of that. I'm going to be pulling for the Titans to win a Super Bowl. If you want to cheer for the Ravens and Derrick Henry to win a Super Bowl, that's on you. That's your prerogative. For me, I'm going to cheer for the Ravens to suck, as I always do. But Derrick Henry leaving is really painful. It sucks. But, the Titans have softened the blow a bit. And I know Derrick Henry is a generational talent, franchise player, future Hall of Famer, all of that stuff. But it was just the right time. It still hurts, but it was the right time to move on. It seems like the Titans have an idea of what they want that backfield to look like with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears moving forward here for the next 3 years. Derrick Henry and the Titans, they just didn't meet. They weren't able to meet in the middle. And, I think both of those sides, I should say, had different plans over the next couple of years. And Derrick Henry lands with a contender. I will always hate the Baltimore Ravens, so I'm not going to pull for him to win a Super Bowl, but it just sucks, right? It's Steve McNair, it's Derek Mason, it's all of these guys all over again. It's Eddie George going to the Cowboys, even though George had no gas left in his tank when he left. Derrick Henry still does. It's painful, Austin. I'm in pain.
The pain. Jack, I'm unfazed. Like I feel like this was going to be the place the whole time. Like it does not bother me one bit that Derrick Henry chose the Baltimore Ravens. And so many people, like I saw, where did it go? Jay, Henry going to the Ravens is classless. And then now let's get Ryan's super chat. AJ Brown was dead to me, but this takes the cake. Queen Henry, you are dead to me. Knowing the history between both teams, he actually kind of spells it correctly, but misspells at the same time. That's the Kentucky in him. Traitor. Like, come on, guys.
That's full Tiki Barber. Don't go full Tiki.
You can't. And then Ryan says, Austin don't want to read my super chat after the Vols lost to Kentucky. I don't care about that, Ryan. God, Ryan's got me on his mind. So many people, so many Kentucky fans have me on their mind way too often. It's kind of creeping me out. But back to the dead to me thing. Queen Henry, you're dead to me, knowing the history of both teams. Guys, Derrick Henry is trying to continue his career. Derrick Henry this is the only time he's had opportunity to make as much money as possible, right? It's Joy Taylor put this perfectly, who is the sister of Jason Taylor, who was with the Miami Dolphins for a decade and then hit free agency. The Dolphins no longer needed him. They thought he was done. And the only team expressing interest is the New York Jets, an AFC East rival. And what does Jason Taylor do? Is he going to retire? That's what Joy Taylor says. Like, what? Will you expect my brother to retire? Or do you expect him to continue playing his career and sign with the one team that wants him? And if the Baltimore Ravens are the best team for Derrick Henry to extend his career, that's his only career, then what do you want him to do? Like, I feel like it's so dumb. Like, you have to understand, and yeah, it can hurt, But the whole like dead to me or traitor, or you have to understand the history between these two franchises. Guys, that's not how this works, man. These guys have to go out there and make career moves and make business decisions. And the Baltimore Ravens were the best business decision for Derrick Henry. He's not going to lose any love for Nashville or for the Titans. But you know what? You guys need to be careful with that because you could really easily piss him off. If it's the whole like don't tweet at college recruits thing, like don't do that. Don't make a fool out of yourself by tweeting at Derrick Henry or commenting in his Instagram posts about him going to the Ravens because he doesn't understand the history. What a traitor. You're dead to me. That's just a way to be stupid. And so that's like, feel the pain. That's fine. I'm not saying don't feel the pain because rivals are rivals and rivals is what makes sports great. But don't make it personal towards Derrick Henry because it's not personal for him either. It's his career. It's his business.
Yeah, I agree. Scott Weaver says Henry's not a traitor. I just wish he went to a different team. And I'm with him. But when two of the three teams were the Houston Texans, who are in your division, Baltimore Ravens, who are a longtime rival dating back to since the Titans moved here and played in the Central, and then the Dallas Cowboys, like none of those, two of them you are your hated rivals. The other one, everyone hates. So there weren't many ideal landing spots for Derrick Henry. Like if he had gone to Seattle or something, that would have been okay with me. Baltimore, it hurts, but it's also, I'm not going to blame Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry did everything he possibly could for the Titans. He showed up, banged up. He handled an insane workload year in and year out behind a brutal offensive line last year. And after taking that punishment last year, I think Derrick Henry earned the opportunity to make this decision and go spread his wings and fly somewhere else who will protect him and who's better set up for, a Super Bowl run like Baltimore. It sucks that it's the Ravens again. And, it feels like they've got the better of the Titans in the playoffs recently. And even back to dating the early 2000s with the Dilfer teams. But it's just awful that they've done it again. I have more, hatred in my heart for the Ravens. I have none for Derrick Henry. Like he's still, in my eyes, the best player that's ever worn a Titans uniform. And that's not going to change no matter how he finishes his career or where he finishes his career. It's just going to suck for the next couple of years. Hopefully after that, he winds up in New York and they do some losing, or Arizona, somewhere where we can't be bothered by him anymore. But over the next 2 years, as the Titans are trying to get back over that hump and contend in the AFC, Derrick Henry's going to be in the way. So that's just something we're going to have to learn how to deal with.
Yeah, and that's how business of football works. And like another thing too, and I'm not saying, Jack, do you remember what year it was when Steve McNair went to the Baltimore Ravens?
04?
2006.
2006? Okay, a couple of years behind there.
18 years. It's been 18 years, guys.
But it hurt then, and it still hurts now.
But it's been 18 years. And the problem with the McNair thing is that because it was on the footsteps and on the heels of Samari Rolle and Derek Mason doing it a couple of years before that. But guess what? The Titans no longer wanted those three players too. Right? They cut Samari Rolle. They cut Derek Mason because of salary cap situations. They locked the doors on Steve McNair. That was the Titans' decision that they made.
Ridiculous.
The Titans decided that their offense is better with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears than trying to bring back Derrick Henry again to put him with Tajay Spears under the Brian Callahan new offense. The Titans made this decision. So Titans fans, don't go comment on all of Derrick's social posts and hate on him, call him traitors, and say that he's dead to you because the Titans closed the door on him and he went to the Baltimore Ravens because of an opportunity presented, just like Derek Mason, just like Samari Rolle, and just like Steve McNair. The Titans made those decisions all 4 times, and those 4 players went and did what was best for their careers. That's business. That's how it works. So be better. Be human.
Yeah, and gone are the days where these players stick around and start their career and finish their career with the same team, right? There's a lot more movement nowadays in this league, and Derrick Henry is a prime example of that. Like, this ain't that when it comes to Derrick Henry going to the Ravens and Steve McNair going to the Ravens. They did Steve They did him dirty big time. And somebody asked, how old was Jack 18 years ago? That would be 10 years old. But Derrick Henry, this felt like more of his decision than the Titans' decision, even though they inked Tony Pollard as soon as free agencies, as soon as the tampering period started. But the Steve McNair thing, it didn't really make a ton of sense back then, because they still had Jeff Fisher. There wasn't a coaching change. There wasn't a regime change.
Drafted Vince Young.
Exactly. So, it's a little bit different than that. But it doesn't make it hurt any less. Like it's just the Ravens seem to always poach the superstars from the Titans. I think that if anything, this strengthens the rivalry, which is already strong after the two teams have met in the playoffs a couple of times in the last 5 years. So it's good. I guess the silver lining is that it's good for the rivalry. Still doesn't make it okay for me. Still doesn't make me, okay with it. But we all knew it was coming. And Baltimore was always in the conversation when Derrick Henry's contract would come up. So it's not a surprise. And, I've kind of had time to prepare myself. And I think Titans fans have had the same amount of time to kind of cope with the idea of Derrick Henry moving on to a rival. So now that we're here, it's real. The feelings are out. And, there's some people that are taking it personally. Others are more level-headed. But it just sucks. It flat out sucks.
Yep. Look, feel the pain. I'm not saying don't feel the pain. I'm not saying don't be disappointed. That's fine. All those emotions are fine. Just don't be a jackass. Don't be a jackass. That's all I'm asking of everybody here. Just be disappointed, be hurt, but that's okay. All right, Jack, let's get to our Wednesday sports trivia. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon. Say hey to Payne Bone while you're there at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jack, are you ready?
I sure am ready.
Let's hit it. All right. It is now time for our Wednesday sports trivia. Jack, were you ready?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't know what this graphic was. I haven't seen it pulled up yet. Yes, I am ready. And here we go.
Okay.
Bang.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Now we're ready. All right. Time for a Wednesday trivia with this. Okay. So as goes, we're all on the same team. We're trying to get these answers done as quickly as possible and as accurately as possible. So I picked the first category and somebody picks the second category in the chat. I'm going to start with television.
Oh, here we go. Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles were the primary characters from this cult favorite Canadian mockumentary sitcom that originally ran from 01 to 08 and later got a 2014 Netflix reboot. This is one of my guilty pleasures, Austin.
I know it. Is it because isn't Bubbles a dude with the big goofy glasses and the big eyes?
Big glasses, yeah. I know this. I want to see if you can get it.
Oh no.
It's one of the funniest shows of all time.
I'm not going to come up with a name. It's going to kill me as soon as I see
Jim Leahy, Randy Bobandy,
Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah. Yes.
Trailer
Park Boys.
Trailer Park Boys.
That's gonna make me watch that tonight. Actually. Okay. Trailer Park Boys were 1 for 1. Good job.
Yes. All right. Big Ten Jeff was first with snacks and candy. Snacks and candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
What chip or cracker brand introduced an extra cooked fan favorite variety known as Extra Toasty in 2015?
Ooh.
I think I know this one.
Extra Toasty. My first guess was Wheat Thins because that's always my go-to cracker. Wheat Thins.
How about this?
Really hard. Do you know the answer?
I woke up feeling the cheesiest, Coach.
Extra Toasty? Is it Cheez-It?
I think. What's the chat say?
Chat's all over Cheez-Its.
Okay, cool. Okay. That makes me feel better.
Which, can you spell Cheez-It correctly?
Of course I can.
Of course you can. Jack knows how to spell Cheez-It.
Journalism degree, baby. All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's go with cars.
Okay. With the same name as a type of horse in 1966, this model's SUVs The model of the SUVs became the first SUV model produced by Ford. Got retired in 1996, but was brought back in 2021. Same name as a
This
type
should
of
be
horse.
a pretty easy one. Shout out Buck Rising, because that would be a Ford Bronco.
Bronco. Buck.
Everybody's
How
all
about
over
Bucks? Bucks cashing checks and breaking necks over there. Okay.
Yeah.
Where are we
You wanna
headed
do,
for number 4?
Let's go Olympics. Let's see what Olympics has in store for us today.
Oksana Bile, I don't
Sure.
know, from this European country, defeated Nancy Kerrigan to win the gold medal in women's singles figure skating at the 94 Lillehammer Olympics. Who beat Nancy Kerrigan in 94?
Well, Ascana did. But what country?
That's right. We know who beat her. We just
So we've
don't
got-
know where she's from.
I've got 3 countries in the chat: Russia, Ukraine, Romania. Luman
Russia feels like a good answer.
no Googling, by the way. And this was in 1994. So David, the USSR was gone. We're getting Ukraine and Mother Russia coming from Nate's burner. Steven is still stuck on Cheez-Its. But I think a lot of people are saying Ukraine.
Was Ukraine in 94? I truly
Absolutely.
don't know. Okay. All right. There's a geography lesson for me. All right, we're going to lock in Ukraine. Bang.
Oh, yes. Because
4 for 4.
a lot of people were all over Russia. All right. So let's go movies.
Gold Slick Vodka and Kyle's Killer Lemonade are fake alcohol brands associated with what famous 2007 R-rated movie?
Oh, man. Easily a instant great movie.
It's a classic.
All over it was super bad.
All right, McLovin, 5 for 5.
For a while, I thought Goldschlager was Gold Slick. I thought it was the same thing.
Is it not? I
no,
know they
it's
both
not.
have the gold flakes.
No, it's not. It's not the same thing.
Gold Slick probably doesn't exist. Like
Gold
Kyle's
Slick
Killer
does.
Lemonade.
That's what the question was. It was fake.
Okay, cool.
All right. So music.
Here we go. Music. Tell me something, girl. Are you happy in this modern world? Are lyrics from this Oscar-winning song from Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper made for 2018's A Star Is Born. I'm off the deep end, watch as I dive in. What's the title of that song?
Keep going. I was enjoying that.
I'm on the shallow now.
The Shallows. Is it Shallow or The Shallows?
The Shallows? Shallow.
It's just Shallow. Okay.
Okay. And we got it. Thanks to my singing. Okay, well, now we're going celebrity mashup, right? This is our bugaboo.
Yep, celebrity mashup. Let's hit this thing.
Oh Lord. Now, who in the hell is this guy?
Can we get a zoom?
Oh, we'll get a zoom. Let's see. There we go.
Oh,
Little touch of gray here.
I feel like
Stash.
who does the stash belong to? The inside or the outside?
Feels like it's got to be the inside, right? Because there's some gray all over the place. I feel like mustache is the last.
For the people saying Jimmy Kimmel is not that good looking.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, a handsome fella.
Jimmy Kimmel does not have that square of a jaw. I also thought Shia LaBeouf was the center, Matt.
Ooh, the eyes. I see that. Uh-huh. Those are Shia LaBeouf eyes.
Those are absolutely Shia LaBeouf eyes. Who's the outside?
And maybe the dimples.
Josh Duhamel, people are saying.
See, I don't know who that is, so it could be.
You do, but
just don't know him by name.
Yeah. I like Shia LaBeouf and Josh Duhamel.
Let's run Shia.
LaBeouf.
And then Josh.
D-U-H. There
Okay.
you are.
And we got it.
Bang! Boom, boom.
Let's go. Okay.
All right,
Pictured a
NBA.
perfect game here.
Yep.
NBA. In 2001, this Washington
Oh.
Wizards made this center the first number 1 overall pick to be chosen straight out of high school.
You know it? You know it?
No, not off
I
the top
know
of my head.
I know it. This was a draft pick made by Michael Jordan.
Go ahead, lay it on me. Does the chat know it?
Kwame Brown.
Kwame. Old Kwame's career didn't quite go the way Michael Jordan probably thought it would, which would begin Michael Jordan's horrendous hobby of drafting terrible players. Okay.
That's right.
And there we go.
Kwame Brown.
8
All
for 8.
right, let's sweep this thing with NFL.
No pressure. Oh, this one's a layup. Marvin Jones and Pope Prep now. Pope Prep's finest, Golden Tate.
Oh, yeah.
We're a 1,000-yard wide receiver duo on this 2017 NFC team. You know who coached these guys? Brian Callahan was there for these guys.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
2017, he was a quarterback coach. That would be the Detroit Lions. Boom, boom. How about that?
Good job, everybody.
Perfect score, under 9 minutes. Pretty good. Pretty good overall right there. So pretty solid job there on our Wednesday sports trivia. So I like that. Good work, everybody. That was true teamwork.
Clap it up in the chat.
Celebrity Mashup did not trip us up like it did a couple weeks ago.
Man, that's so hard. I can never get one of those.
Yeah, we did a good job with that one. But hey, a lot of stuff is going to happen today. We'll see what all comes out. The Titans head coach and GM are there's Buck just had a clarification. Titans brass were on the confirmed attendees, a list for the Georgia Pro Day, but opted to continue to free agency work instead in Nashville. So never mind. There was an initial report that who was the initial report from that said that the Titans had it was Nagy from the Senior Bowl. That Nagy said that both Callahan and Carthon were at Athens, Georgia for the Pro Day, but no, they're back at home. So hey, head on a swivel. There could be a trade. There could be something else. I do know Brock Bowers is not working out today. So that might be why they decided to stick in Nashville. Brock Bowers not working out. So as Phil says, not saying a lot for the Bowers pick. Well, not so fast, my friend, because he is not doing anything. So Rand and Callahan staying in Nashville for free agency. We'll see what happens as the day goes on. But make sure that you hit that like button on Facebook and YouTube. Like the show before you go. Always way more people are watching than hit the like button. Just hit the like button for us, please. That goes a long way for us and so easy for you guys there. So please hit that like button on your way out the door. Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime to recap the day's events. Keep it to you with all of our social media, Instagram and Twitter for sure, and Facebook for all of the up-to-date news. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning on a Thursday. Appreciate it as always.
Tighten up pod at midnight. Do not miss it.